Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really honored and delighted to be here together with such distinguished speakers and before a really terrific audience. But before going to my speech, I must, of course, thank the people who invited me here and make my appearance here as possible. And of course, it is Mandy, the chair of the board, Brian, the chief of executive, and the ICMA's French regional committee. This year, the ICMA's annual meeting takes place in Paris, where the Council of Europe Development Bank, the CEB, is located. Following Brexit, many banks have moved crucial parts in their business to Paris, and Paris has just received a new vibrance in its role as a financial center. And indeed, this is the very reason, Paris as a financial center, why the CEB is located here in Paris and not in Strasbourg. The CEB is a very special institution. It is the only multilateral development bank in the world tasked with an exclusively social mandate. For 67 years, it has been financing projects with a high social impact. And this indeed is also for us our key mission. And these projects have been financed across a widening membership, now counting 42 states, spanning across Europe, from Iceland to Turkey, from Portugal to Georgia. In the recent years, the relevance of the CEB social mission has been reaffirmed over and over again. The climate emergency, the COVID pandemic, and the Russian aggression against Ukraine are among the latest challenges which the CEB rapidly and effectively responded to with its support to the social sector. With the succession of multiple crises and no respite, it is no wonder that permacrisis was selected as the word of the year in 2022, as our society seemed to enter a new normal. While different in nature, these crises have one salient feature in common. They hurt vulnerable people the most. They widen inequalities and corrode the fabric that holds our societies together. They require very costly government responses, burdening future generations with debt. What's more, when we ponder on their ultimate determinants, we can see shared roots, a crisis of values, particularly in finance. We see a renewed and growing tension between the values of the market and the values of society. My reflection today revolved around this issue, focusing on a specific aspect, especially relevant here. What financial institutions can do to ease these tensions. And my contention, my message, my key message, as apparent from the title of my speech, is that financial institutions can do that with both sides of their balance sheets, and I stress both. Of course, it is quite obvious that I have to start with what the CEB does. And clearly, I start with the asset side, with the bulk of its asset side, that is the loans that we give, the financial support that we provide to social projects. Our loans and assistance, which are given with remarkable agility, especially in times of crisis, make investments in the social sector happen. And so, the most vulnerable can be protected. Indeed, we really believe that our projects help make European societies more prosperous and cohesive, leaving no one behind. Last year, let me give you this example, the SEB devoted 1/3 of its total lending, that is 1.3 billion euros, to the benefit of people fleeing the war in Ukraine and their host communities. Moreover, the SEB is just about to support Ukraine directly, following its request for membership, which the SEB's shareholders quickly accepted, and the important point here, that they accepted to have the membership at no cost for Ukraine, an important sign of solidarity. Beyond Ukraine, this year, the SEB has already made significant resources available for relief and reconstruction efforts following the devastating earthquakes that hit Turkey in February. Against this backdrop, the SEB has recently launched a new strategic framework that will guide its activities for the next 5 years. The strategy is fully endorsed by the SEB's shareholders and underpinned by a capital increase. And this is important. This is the first capital increase in the history of the SEB, which comes together with an injection of fresh resources. Fresh resources at times of dire straits for public finances. And clearly it is obvious to us all that this is a tremendous vote of confidence by membership in the special role that the SEB plays. But remaining on the asset side, the SEB upholds its social objectives in the financial investment too, by supporting the ESG activities of other parties. We have expanded our investment in sustainable bonds so that today it amounts to more than 20% of the total. Now, let me move to the liabilities. And we pursue social values with determination on that side of the balance sheet too. Last year, more than 1/3 of our funding program was financed through social inclusion bonds, issued in both euros and dollars. This brings me back to the issue at the core of my intervention today. Financial operators, the SEB, you, all of us, have an essential role to play in aligning the values of the market with those of the society. And this is crucial to our collective future. The receiver view pictures the role of capital market merely as the instruments to ensure the efficient allocation of savings, with investors focused with a narrow mind to make their choice based on risk-return trade-offs. But we all witness an increasing demand for investment which, while of course mindful of return consideration, focus on ESG issues and public goods, such as climate change or social development. This demonstrates that financial markets can extend their traditional function and help solve global challenges, allocating efforts and resources to this effect, turning values into value, as McCartney would put it. Indeed, such an approach to capital allocation is critical to driving the change we need to deliver to the social safety net and shared prosperity which hold our communities together. The SEB's pioneering social inclusion bonds are really a fitting example. In 2016, when sustainable bonds were in practice a synonym for just green bonds, we started building up a market in social bonds. In doing this, we could rely on the support of two important partners. First, ICMA, and an heartfelt thanks to ICMA for that, which defined appropriate guidelines to ensure the consistent evolution of the market. And our lead managers who believed, like us, in the market. Since then, the market has thrived, and SEB has obtained many achievements related to it. The first institution to issue a COVID bond, the first to issue a Ukraine refugee bond, the first to complete a full 7-year curve in euros, just to name a few. The bank has been equally committed to enhance the transparency and integrity of the social bond market, leading by example in the thoroughness and transparency of their reporting, as well as updating the approach in a way that is driving the evolution of this market. These efforts have been particularly rewarding. In 2023, the SEB was recognized as the best social ESG issuer and received the award for Social Bond of the Year. Let me conclude. Our societies are now confronted with daunting challenges, and challenges that are both at the global and at the local level. And the futures of next generations is at stake. Like me, all of you appreciate the importance of the contribution that financial markets can give to address them. As financial market participants, then, we all have a responsibility to be mindful of this while making decisions regarding not only the asset or the liability side of our institution balance sheets, but both sides. Fulfilling this responsibility proactively stands as the only way capital market can sustain the values at heart of our society and, most crucially, ensure their own legitimacy in the eyes of the public at large. Thank you very much for your attention.